the man who gave a voice to one of the most feared military forces in the world, is no longer here. Today, the Iranian regime has confirmed something that many expected, but that changes the Middle Eastern chessboard in a way that very few fully understand. The spokesperson for Iran's Revolutionary Guard, General Ali Mohammad Naeini, is dead, and not in an accident. He has died from the bombings of a joint United States and Israel offensive that has been systematically destroying the Iranian military apparatus for weeks. But this is not just the death of a general, it is the confirmation of something much deeper, that the regime that ruled Iran for decades is being dismantled piece by piece, in real time, before the eyes of the entire world. What does this mean? Where is all this leading? And why should it matter to you, even if you live thousands of kilometers away? Stay until the end, because what is happening in Iran right now can affect your life, your economy, and the future of the West more than you imagine. If you want to closely follow what is truly happening in the world, subscribe now and turn on the notification bell. Don't just go by the headlines. To understand what is happening, you need to know 4 fundamental things. First, on February 28th, 2026, the United States and Israel jointly launched a military offensive against Iran. They internally called it Epic Fury. In just a few hours, they destroyed hundreds of military targets in Iranian territory. It was the beginning of an open war. Second, the Revolutionary Guard, known as the IRGC, or Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, is Iran's most powerful military arm. It is not a conventional army. It is also the regime's ideological police. It controls militias throughout the region, and it holds the country's missile program in its hands. To understand the Revolutionary Guard is to understand the Iranian regime. Third, since the beginning of that offensive, key figures of Iranian power have fallen. The supreme leader himself, Ali Khamenei, died in the first attacks. His Minister of Defense, the head of the Revolutionary Guard, senior military commanders, and frontline political figures have been eliminated one after another. Iran is no longer the same country it was 3 weeks ago. Fourth, today, the regime has confirmed the latest casualty, Ali Mohammad Naeini, the official spokesperson for the Revolutionary Guard. The man who spoke to the world on behalf of this force no longer exists, and that has consequences that we are going to break down right now. Who was Ali Mohammad Naeini, and why does his death matter? For many, the name Ali Mohammad Naeini might not mean anything, but in the world of Iranian politics, his position was crucial. The spokesperson for the Revolutionary Guard was the official liaison between one of the most opaque military apparatuses in the world and public opinion, both national and international. He was the one who came out to issue statements, the one who justified the attacks, the one who threatened Israel and the United States in the name of the regime. He was, in a way, the public face of an organization that normally operates in the shadows. His death is not just the loss of a general. It is the loss of the IRGC's communication capability. It signals that Israeli and U.S. intelligence have reached a level of penetration within the Iranian regime that would have previously seemed impossible. Think of it this way. If they can eliminate the man who appears on television, imagine who else they have identified. The offensive since February 28th. What has really happened? Let's review the last 3 weeks, because what has occurred is extraordinary in historical terms. On February 28th, hundreds of Israeli fighters bombed what they described as nerve centers of Iranian military power. In the early hours, Minister of Defense Aziz Nasirzadeh and the head of the Revolutionary Guard, Mohammad Pakpour, died, as confirmed by the Israeli army. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei also died. In a single day, Iran lost its top leader and those primarily responsible for its defense. In the following days, the offensive did not stop. U.S. forces destroyed more than 6,000 targets inside Iran. They sank more than 65 vessels of the Iranian Navy. They attacked underground weapon storage facilities with bombs weighing more than 2 tons. And Israel even attacked Iranian targets in the Caspian Sea for the first time. The week of March 17th brought new casualties to the regime. Ali Larijani, head of the Security Council and one of the country's most powerful politicians after Khamenei's death, was killed. Gholam Reza Soleimani, head of the Basij militia, the internal repressive arm of the Revolutionary Guard, also fell. And today, March 20th, the death of spokesperson Ali Mohammad Naeini is confirmed. 3 weeks after the start of the war, the Iranian leadership has been practically decapitated. How is Iran responding? Now then, we are not facing an enemy that has surrendered. Far from it. Iran, despite having lost its main leaders and having its military capacity greatly reduced, continues to launch attacks. And those attacks continue to cause damage. Iran has attacked installations in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Iraq with missiles and drones. It has targeted energy infrastructure, which has sent the price of oil skyrocketing to over $110 per barrel. It has also directly attacked Israeli territory, although most of the projectiles have been intercepted. Specifically, it attacked Qatar's main energy center, the industrial city of Ras Laffan, the largest gas liquefaction facility in the world. The damage was considerable. And in Saudi Arabia, cruise missiles were intercepted less than 100 kilometers from Riyadh. The Revolutionary Guard itself, despite being under an unprecedented attack, publicly vowed to hunt down and kill Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. A message that many analysts interpret as a demonstration that the regime is still capable of communicating and terrorizing, even if it can no longer fight as it did before. And while all this is happening, the regime executed 3 men accused of spying for Israel. According to human rights organizations, these were convictions based on confessions under torture. A way of sending a message of firmness inward toward the Iranian population while the building crumbles. What does each side say? Let's briefly listen to what each of the main actors is saying. United States. White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt stated that Operation Epic Fury has reduced Iran's capacity to launch ballistic missiles by 90%, and its drone capacity by 95%. President Trump, for his part, said on Saturday that he does not see it possible to reach an agreement with Iran because the conditions are not yet good enough, although he acknowledged that Tehran wants to negotiate a ceasefire. Israel. The Israeli Defense Forces have repeatedly emphasized their defensive stance, although they have not hesitated to attack energy facilities without notifying Washington. In fact, Trump admitted he knew nothing of the Israeli attack on the South Pars gas field, the largest in the world. Israel has vowed to continue attacks against any attempt to harm its security. Iran. The new Iranian leadership, headed by Mojtaba Khamenei, son of the deceased supreme leader, has ruled out dialogue and sent messages indicating a willingness to continue fighting. According to analysts at the Carnegie Center, Mojtaba is considered more hardline than his father and has deep ties to the Revolutionary Guard. The regime stands firm, one analyst noted. Europe. European leaders met in Brussels and reaffirmed their refusal to participate militarily. They are concerned about rising energy prices and the risk of a new refugee crisis. Germany and France have rejected Trump's requests to send forces to the Strait of Hormuz. Arab Gulf countries, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the Emirates are in an extremely uncomfortable position. They are the most targeted by Iran, yet they are not participating in the offensive. Qatar called an Arab and Islamic ministerial meeting in Riyadh to coordinate a response. Meanwhile, their citizens live with the sound of anti-missile systems activating in the sky. How do you think the international community should respond to this war? Leave me your opinion in the comments. I'm very interested in knowing what you think. The Strait of Hormuz and the impact on your pocket. I want to talk now about something that many people are not yet connecting: the war in Iran and the price of energy in your home. The Strait of Hormuz is a waterway barely 55 kilometers wide that separates Iran from the Arabian Peninsula. And through that strait passes approximately 20% of the oil the world consumes every day. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the Emirates, Iraq, All of their oil goes out through there. Since the start of the war, traffic in the strait has been drastically reduced. Iran has threatened to attack any ship that passes through. And although vessels continue to cross, many via clandestine routes, the uncertainty has sent prices skyrocketing. Brent crude, the world's oil benchmark, surpassed $110 per barrel this week. To give you an idea, just a month ago, it was below 80. What does that mean for you? It means that in the coming weeks or months, you could see the price of gasoline, heating, and freight transport rise, and with it, general inflation. Europe, which imports a significant portion of its energy from the Gulf region, is especially exposed. And central banks are in a dilemma. If they lower interest rates to stimulate the economy, they risk more inflation. If they keep them high, they slow down growth. This war does not happen in a vacuum. We must talk about the broader chessboard. In Lebanon, Israel has resumed bombings against the infrastructure of Hezbollah, the armed group allied with Iran. More than 900 people have died in less than 3 weeks, according to the Lebanese Ministry of Health. More than 1 million people have been displaced from their homes, nearly 20% of the country's population. And there are signs that Israel could be preparing a large-scale ground invasion. In Syria, Israel attacked Syrian government facilities this week, claiming it was a response to attacks against civilians of the Druze community, a religious group living on the border between Syria, Lebanon, and Israel. In Iraq, Iran attacked the United States Embassy. In Saudi Arabia, there was an explosion at the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh. The Revolutionary Guard claimed responsibility for both attacks as part of what they call the destruction of American political centers in the region. And at sea, a ship caught fire off the coast of the United Arab Emirates. Another was damaged off Qatar. Navigation in the Persian Gulf and the Red Sea is today a high-risk activity. Surprisingly, Ukraine has also appeared on this stage. Its president, Zelensky, confirmed that his country sent more than 200 drone experts to Gulf countries to help them counteract Iranian drone attacks, a detail that shows the extent to which this war is connecting seemingly separate conflicts. What does what is happening really mean? I'm going to be direct with you. What we are seeing in Iran is something without modern precedent: the accelerated dismantling of an armed theocracy by 2 military powers using precision technology. In 3 weeks, the supreme leader, the Minister of Defense, the head of the Revolutionary Guard, the head of the Basij militia, the head of the Security Council, and now the IRGC spokesperson have all fallen. This is not a series of lucky strikes. This is a military precision and intelligence campaign of an extraordinary level. At the same time, and this is important not to forget, Iran remains dangerous. Its offensive capability has dropped drastically, by 90% in ballistic missiles, according to the United States. But its drone and cruise missile attacks continue to reach their targets. And the new leadership, headed by Mojtaba Khamenei, seems, if anything, more radical than his father. Possible future scenarios. Scenario 1. Negotiated agreement. Iran agrees to negotiate under conditions that satisfy Trump. The dismantling of its nuclear and missile programs, and an end to its support for regional militias. The United States lifts sanctions. The war ends. Possible, but complex, given that the new Iranian leadership has rejected dialogue. Scenario 2. Prolonged war of attrition. Iran, though weakened, continues to attack Gulf energy infrastructure with drones and missiles. Oil prices remain high. The global economy suffers. The conflict becomes a long and costly war with no clear end in sight. Scenario 3. Regime collapse. Internal protests in Iran, which had already been active since January 2026 due to the economic crisis, intensify in the face of the regime's weakness. The security apparatus, already battered, cannot repress as it did before. The regime collapses from within. This is the most uncertain and also the most disruptive scenario. Global impact. On an economic level, expensive energy is inflation, and inflation affects everyone. Central banks are going to have to make very difficult decisions. The American Federal Reserve has already decided not to lower interest rates in the face of this uncertainty. On a political level, Europe is divided. It does not want to participate in the war, but it also cannot ignore that its energy security is at stake. NATO is under enormous strain. On a geopolitical level, China and Russia are watching. The Chinese armed forces have published criticisms of the United States. If the conflict expands, or if the Iranian regime collapses in a chaotic manner, there is a risk that outside actors will intervene. If this analysis has helped you better understand what is happening, share this video with someone who you think needs this information. In confusing times, understanding the world is a form of responsibility. Let's summarize the most important things of everything we have seen today. Iran has confirmed the death of its Revolutionary Guard spokesperson, Ali Mohammad Naeini. It is the latest in a long list of top-level casualties since the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury on February 28th. The Iranian regime, as we knew it, is being dismantled. Its leadership has been eliminated almost in its entirety. Its military capacity has fallen in a brutal way according to the United States' own sources. But it keeps responding, it keeps attacking, and the new leadership shows no signs of wanting to negotiate. The war has spread to the entire Middle East. Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the Emirates are all involved in one way or another. Oil prices have exceeded $110 per barrel, and Europe, although it does not want to participate, cannot look the other way. What comes now is uncertain. It could be an agreement, it could be a long war, it could be the internal collapse of a regime that has been ruling with an iron fist for decades. But there is a question I want to leave you with. How far is a regime that has nothing left to lose willing to go? It is a question without an easy answer. But asking that question is the first step to understanding the world in which we live. We will keep reporting, because this war has not ended, and you deserve to know what is happening.